get this started. Make sure we got everything. All right, can you guys hear me? Just want to make sure everything is set here. Get this party started. 1 second. Just checking the chat. Let's wait for enough people to get in here. Yo, what's up? We got V. What's up, Black Dragon? We got Tater Pants. What's up? Nobody cares. And what's up? What's up, Neo? What's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? Today we're gonna be doing a little something different. I'm trying out, which we'll discuss how everything's gonna play out. I'm like I said, I've been trying to tell you guys that I've been trying to figure out how I would, I guess you would say, partake in streaming here on this channel, moving forward. And I've been wrestling with it. I've been tackling with it, for quite some time of, how I can dedicate my time into doing it, because a lot of you guys on Discord, Twitter, and even surprisingly on Facebook, a lot of you guys be asking like, "Yo, Mugen Lord, when are you going to do live streams again? Like, I miss your live streams, and everything." And so the reason why I haven't really been doing a lot of live streams is because, like I said, I don't know how I'm going to approach it. And like I said, I've just been so busy. I have so many other responsibilities and other projects that I've been working on, and I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep. That's why I never had a dedicated schedule. But then I just took some time for the past couple of days, especially over the weekend, just thinking about it, and was saying that, Mugen Lord, you pretty much got your comic book project that you've been working on. That's been working great. You have everything working in gears. Everything is going according to plan. And then your 3D hentai business and your venture, you've been doing that, is going really, really well. And then my YouTube channel is doing really, really, really well. So you have everything working for you. So it's about time that you start focusing on the streaming aspect of things. And that's something that I really want to work on. So today, this week, I wanted to experiment with a schedule of how I want to go about streaming. You said audio's pretty low? You said you can't hear me? All right, 1 second. I got you guys. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? How about now? What's up, AJ? What's up? What's going on? Can y'all still hear me? Is it still low? Is the audio still low? Okay, just want to make sure before we. All right, cool. It said every single time I post comments, it's an illiterate ass hats pop up out of nowhere and start twisting my comments for no damn reason and put their own words into my mouth. I don't like that. You hear? It's better now. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for some reason the mic, not the mic, it was just the settings. I had to raise up the settings on the OBS itself. All right. So as I said before, I really want to get into this whole streaming thing. Like I said, since I guess you guys couldn't hear me, so I guess I'll just repeat everything I just said. I have my comic book project and business that's going on. It's going really, really well. And I have my YouTube business side of things going really, really well. Been seeing a lot of boom, a lot of growth in my YouTube channel as far as subscribers and viewers. And then, of course, my social media presence on Twitter is really, really doing well and everything. And of course, let's not talk about the 3D hentai stuff. That's really doing good. So it's about time that I need to start focusing on the streaming aspect, because a lot of you guys have been asking me, "Hey, Mugen Lord, come on, bro. Like, what's up with the streams, man? Be looking forward to the streams." So when it comes to, like, when I want to do something, I really want to put my all into it. I don't want to half-ass everything. I love my chill streams. We always gonna be doing the chill. We always gonna have some chill streams and have some real talk streams and everything. But I want to do more than just that, than just doing real talk and everything. And I want to pretty much have like a format to some of my streams. So I always talked about wanting to do a podcast or like a show. Or somewhat like a show or something like that, where we cover topics that's going on in the gaming industry and stuff, or pretty much topics that I want to talk about and eventually will turn into a video of its own on my channel. So I wanted to do an experiment this week on how I want to approach streaming. So this week we're going to be streaming for 3 days. Monday, which is today. No, not even Monday. It was today. Was today Monday or yesterday was Monday? Today is Monday. Yeah. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So today we're going to be covering a few topics here on this channel, which we'll be talking about Sweet Baby Inc. and the game Unknown 9, which was the topic that I posted on my YouTube channel today. So we'll be talking a little bit about that and everything. Of course, we talk about, journalist hypocrisy when it comes to the portrayal of male versus female and sexualization, of course. And then we'll talk about IGN's stupidity, their stupid reason as to why they believe Resident Evil 5 cannot be remade. And then we're going to cover an article that people have been posting around as well about Arc System work admitting to destroying Guilty Gear Xrd by catering to the Western market with Guilty Gear Strive. And then after that, since that'll be the last topic that we'll cover, I'll also be taking questions from you guys from the chat as well. And this whole point in all of this, I want us to be able to engage with these topics and everything like that. And also, this is like a test run for potential topics that I will make into actual videos here on this channel. So let's just say that this stream, a lot of you guys who participate in the stream and come into these streams will get pretty much an early head start on some topics that I will cover as individual videos of its own. So those people who can't like catch up or come into my streams, they'll eventually be able to hear these topics, and they won't be stream highlights. No, they will actually be my normal videos, but it just be for topics that I already covered and go into more depth in a video of its own rather than the stream itself or whatever. So that's how we're going to do things. And then it says look forward to, yeah. He said Monday is the day I'm off. That's how I know. What's up, Rudy? What's up, Silveroni? What's up, Derpy? And also, then Wednesday we're gonna have a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth spoiler discussion stream, because if you guys don't know, Wednesday I also have a video scheduled, which is my spoiler, I guess you say breakdown / rant video, which is 1 hour and 20 minutes long. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes long video for you guys. I already have timestamps, so you better pick what timestamp of what topics that I cover in the video, in case you guys don't want to, sit through the whole 1 hour or whatever. So you'll be able to pick out what parts that you really want to listen to and everything. So when that goes up, there will also be a stream on Wednesday as well, where we just have a discussion talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake Trilogy in general. And then, if you guys have any questions and anything else that I didn't elaborate on in the video, you'll be able to ask me that stuff there. And I also want to hear your opinions and thoughts for those of you guys who are invested or who are actually playing the Remake Trilogy as well. And then we're going to talk about the sales report of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And also we're going to talk about some potential, I guess you say, predictions to Final Fantasy VII 3, the third part of the final part of the trilogy. We do some predictions with that. And then Friday is going to be pretty fun. Friday, what I want to do, I want to have that tier list generator thing that we did with the waifus, but this time I'm going to be doing it with my greatest gaming experiences of all time tier list. So it's going to be games from across all different kinds of generations, games that really impacted me in my life. So it's going to be kind of like a tier list / chill stream. We're going to be having fun, just shooting the shit with one another while we do the tier list and talk about our experiences with particular games. So I think that's going to be pretty fun. That's going to be that's going to be pretty fun. So before we even step into the topics, just want to make sure that everything is here. Yeah, it's 1 hour. Yep, AJ, it's definitely long. He said Final Fantasy VII refund. Just kidding. All right, so we definitely going to get into this right now. We're going to get into the first topic here on this stream or this podcast. So we're going to go to, let's see what I got here. All right, so we're going to talk about right now. What we have here is, as I said before, if you haven't checked out the video, we're going to talk about Unknown 9 The Awakening, because this has caused a lot of controversy all over the internet. Because if you guys still don't know, and just been out of the loop what's been going on in the culture war aspect when it comes to the whole gaming landscape of what's going on right now, is the company that has caused a lot of, back and forth. It's been a war going on with this consulting company called Sweet Baby Inc. And Sweet Baby Inc. has been the topic of discussion for the past couple of weeks now. And I guess you would say it artificially sparked a new war called Gamergate 2.0. And this is pretty much gamers versus the mainstream media, especially the gaming journalists. And it all started because of Corbutus, a Twitter user called Corbutus. He's also a Twitter follower of mine as well, which I discussed about in the video. He came out with a Sweet Baby Inc. curator group page that pretty much detects and find projects and look for projects that has Sweet Baby Inc.'s fingerprints all over it. So they pretty much collect it and put it into a database. So it pretty much informed gamers to not pretty much spend money on anything that Sweet Baby Inc. put their hands on, because they always take these games and make the games even worse. Make it super woke for no goddamn reason. And you already know what they have done with the female characters and everything. So for those of you guys who don't know anything about the curator page, I'll pretty much post a link before I close out the stream or anything. But this is the curator page, so you guys have an idea of what it looks like. And pretty much it's just all the information gathered together, so you know what games Sweet Baby Inc. has put their hands on and got there, and just it's just bad. Let me just say it that way. And the thing is, Sweet Baby Inc. has been around since 2018. 2018, but it's been so quiet, and no one knew anything about them until Suicide Squad. Once Suicide Squad was, Kill the Justice League had hit the scene, many people had so many, was like pretty much pointing it out, saying, yo, like, what did y'all do to the Arkham series? Y'all pretty much ruined it. Why does Harley Quinn look the way she look and everything? So that made people start digging around, and they found out about Sweet Baby Inc. He said, Mugen Lord, you wouldn't want to make a mini documentary like Nexpo? That sounds interesting. Definitely look into that. Woke needs to be illegal. Yeah, so he said, what's up, Zero Player? What's going on? What's up, Mike Dot? So yeah, so Sweet Baby Inc. Is just one of many companies that's pretty much a consulting company to help video game studios to help make their visions much more diverse, fully realized, and has, make gamers feel like they're being represented in their games. And I talked about it in my video. This is why after 2018, you've seen games like God of War, the Spider-Man 2, and many other games have pretty much cranked up the diversity up a notch. And you start seeing a lot more LGBTQ representation in the games. And you also start seeing more and more female characters getting butchered and mangled and bastardized as far as how they look, and everything like that. And that's what it has a lot to do with. And still, if you guys still don't know much about Sweet Baby Inc., we'll just go to their website. See if we can. And I remember at the time it was hard to get into their website, was because the traffic and everything was still loading. So we just wait. The traffic and everything was just crazy where you couldn't get onto it. So this is their website right here. When it comes to Sweet Baby Inc. What's going on is, let's go to their main page. So they have their approach, where they talk about how they approach each project and everything like that, and what their main goals are. So if you go to their services, it says, we bring in diverse voices to solve diverse problems. Sweet Baby Inc. provides narrative consultations, at any stage of development, boasting a team of diverse talent with vetted industry experiences to best bring your story to life. So pretty much Sweet Baby Inc. and many other consulting firms is pretty much Anita Sarkeesian, but on steroids. It's pretty much a Super Saiyan Anita Sarkeesian. See, Anita Sarkeesian had set the blueprint moving forward of how to make this approach. You might as well say, you can say that she pretty much created a market for this. And as we talked about before, when it comes to the ESG, a lot of these investors are looking for companies who are trying to make a difference when it comes to representation, protecting the environment, and all these other type of things. So the thing is, ESG stands for environment, the S stands for social, and the G stands for governance. And when it comes to the gaming industry more so focused on the social aspect. So this is why you start seeing a lot of our games start, you're starting to remove a lot of male characters. You start to prop up most of the female characters. You start to overrepresent the LGBTQ and everything, because the more diverse the game looks from the surface or whatever, the more investments that they'll get. So pretty much the ESG is a corporate social score or a social credit. So in order to raise up your social score, it's weighed on a scale of 1 to 100 points. So what these consulting firms do, like Sweet Baby Inc., what they essentially do is these companies will go to them, and when they go to them, is to pretty much also help them raise their score up so they can get more and more investments. So like I said before in the video, it goes a lot deeper. And it also has a lot, and this is what got them in trouble. This is what people started digging into Sweet Baby Inc., because these are the projects, and these are some of the projects, not all of the projects, that these guys have been involved with. He said, Silveroni said, I tapped out of the Western games for years because of these propagandists. Eastern so far never let me down. Yeah, basically a Chinese social, Chinese credit score. That's what it is. That's all it is. So this is their announced projects. These are the things that Sweet Baby Inc. has been had their hands on. These are what they have their claws and talons on. But you also gotta know this too. When it comes to Unknown 9, which the game that I have covered, which I still advise you guys to go check out right here. Now, the thing is about Unknown 9, The Awakening, I noticed there's a lot of you guys in the comment sections who are saying that this is essentially Bandai Namco's version of of Forspoken. Square Enix have Forspoken. Bandai Namco is publishing this game. Now, there's a lot of you who said in the comment sections, why would Bandai Namco, knowing how bad, their reputation of Sweet Baby Inc. is, and after, some of the employees had disrespect Akira Toriyama, why would they work with them? You have to understand, when it comes to game developments, a lot of this stuff these games have been in development years before any of this mess has become a thing. So it wasn't like Bandai Namco had jumped on board just now. No, they were always the publisher for this game. So no one expected the Sweet Baby Inc. to get exposed the way they did. No one expected this situation to blow the way it did. So these companies were already working with these guys before any of this mess had pretty much exploded. But as you can see here, as you can see the picture, you have the actress Anya Chalotra. She's the actress from the Witcher Netflix series, which I've also mentioned in my video as well. She's headlining this game, similar to the black chick that I can't remember her name. Excuse me for that, but she was the protagonist in Forspoken. So you see the similarities here. So now they have a woman of color, and she's biracial. I can't remember. I know she's Middle Eastern and European or whatever. And they couldn't even go full Middle Eastern. So they got her, and she's not a bad looking woman at all. She's actually attractive, and they decided to make a game based off her likeness. And you can already see where they fumbled the ball. And we always keep talking about this, of what they've been doing as far as our female characters and how they've been represented when it comes to how they look in video games, especially compared to how the male characters somehow still stays the same in some way. But for some reason, they can never get the correlation or get the exact look or image of the actual real life model with the video game interpretation of them. So now what's going on is with this game, which I guess will, if you guys, since you guys didn't check out the video, I guess we can go to the trailer itself so you guys know what's going on. What is it called? Oh yeah, Unknown 9. Unknown 9, The Awakening trailer. We'll go there first so you guys can be able to see for yourself. And also, alright, so we're going to go here. Take this here. Alright. This is, check this out. He said her jaw is bigger than U.S. Democrat. I've seen AI art better than what they did to her. And look at this. Look at that face. Like I said in my video, look at that. It baffles my mind that there's still people out there that says that there's nothing going on, that this is all conspiracy theory, when we know for a fact that it isn't, because it's keep happening repeatedly. It's been happening for the past decade now. Since Gamergate started, this has been going on with our female characters. But we'll continue here so you guys can actually take a look at how this looks. So the only reason I can figure why she ain't she can break diamonds with that. She can lift weights with them jaws, with that jaw.
The cycle is starting again.
Yeah. And look at how she moves. There's no curvature to her. She moves like a dude.
When there isn't a path to be found.
It's just terrible, man. Just terrible. And look at this face right here. What we're about to see. Watch this. Look at that. Look at that face. Look at that jawline. Look at that. It's like she been just chewing on rocks for snack. Just chewing on rocks to get her jaw, make her jawline look like that. Look at that. This is the worst. This is horrible. To level up your jaw and become the jaw master. Yeah. Look at that, guys. Look, and this does this woman a disservice. A disservice. This is disrespectful. Disrespectful. Crazy. And to be honest, the game looks neither interesting nor original. He said that's an alien. Unknown 9 and the Awakening, which a lot of you guys said.
Countless times, and so shall you be here again. In fact, you're here right now.
Look at this. And look at and you can tell, you can see the similarities of what they're going with. It looks just like the Forspoken advertisement. And it's like they're going for the same thing. And it's funny, is like, the crazy part about this, all of this is that we already seen the results of Forspoken. And it's like, these companies just double down on this. They just double down on this dumb shit. And it's almost like, it's almost like that these people are so narcissistic to the point where they's like, you know, like, they're so proud of their work and they just want to put this out here just for their buddies. This is all about them. It's a lot of self-inserts. There's a lot of circle jerking going around because this project, or Sweet Baby Inc., had gotten an award for the writing and everything or something like that that surrounds this project. How? Like, how? And that's what is going on. They're making these games. They're not making these games for us, the gamers. They're making it for themselves and their colleagues. That's all they're making this stuff for. It's not for us. These games are not for us at all. So you got a bit of what's going on with that. And the sad part about it is, like I said before, is that they did her a disservice. They did her a disservice, and it's just so dirty that her image is always going to be, especially in the gaming space, her face is always going to be recognized for this bastardized game. Gamers are going to remember her not because anything that she have done as far as her acting career, she's going to be remembered for this dumpster fire of a project, all because of Sweet Baby Inc. All because of Sweet Baby Inc. Now, back to Sweet Baby Inc. for a second. As you can see here, as I said before, these are their projects. And then they have a bunch of clients. He said, I smelled Forspoken from that game. Yeah. He said, oh my God. He said, Eve in Stellar Blade is freaking gorgeous. She would be the prototype for female models moving forward. Exactly. So this is their clients right here. This is the clients that they have been working with. This is just some they posted. This is not everything, but it's just some of them. You have Xbox Studios. You have Electronic Arts, Valve, Santa Monica Studios, 2K Games, Ubisoft, of course, Square Enix, Warner Brothers, Finji, Polytron, Rocksteady. These are companies that we know, that we know for years, that we have grown up with and played many of their games. And Sweet Baby Inc. pretty much has their talents in these companies. So if you always been wondering why our favorite companies and our favorite studios have been going like downhill, and a lot of this social political bullshit that they have been putting in their games, then now you know why. And like I said, Sweet Baby Inc. is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all of this, because there's many other companies that's doing the exact same thing that Sweet Baby Inc. has been doing. For instance, Forspoken, Sweet Baby Inc. had nothing to do with Forspoken, but there was another consulting group called Black Girl Gamer. So you see why. You have a black girl that's the main protagonist, and you see all the other nonsense that's in the game. They had their talents and they had their claws in that, and we already seen what the results of those are. So, what do we do? What do we do about this? How do we combat any of this? And as I said before, you guys have already been doing a good job about this. The whole goal of attacking this and trying to take back the narrative and fight back is doing what Corbutus and many other people are doing. And these are one of the things this Sweet Baby Inc. detected. Anytime Sweet Baby Inc. got their claws into something, just you gather the information here, and you also pass this around to everybody. Inform people who don't know anything about this, because you have to understand, when it comes to this whole entire culture war aspect, Gamergate 2.0, you have to understand that the average gamer, or just a normie in general, have no fucking idea that any of this shit is going on at all. As I said before, I have relatives who don't know any of this going on. And to give you another perfect example, I have relatives who aren't gamers, and you have to understand, they know nothing about wokeness in gaming or movies or any of that stuff. But you have to understand, I have relatives who actually seen the Marvels, the Marvels movie or whatever like that. Now, when I mentioned it to them about the wokeness and stuff in it, they didn't understand any of this was going on. But one thing they did know was that something was off about the movie, and the movie was complete ass. The movie was just complete ass. So we also have to understand that wokeness doesn't always have to, is not always the main thing that's destroying a lot of these games or a lot of these movies as well. Most of the time, a lot of this shit is just bad. It's just a bad movie in general. If you just remove the wokeness, or just set the wokeness aside and just look at it for as a movie, it's a bad movie. So when my relatives went to go see that movie, they wasn't looking for wokeness because they didn't know any of this was going on. But what they did know, it was a bad fucking movie. So there's a lot of moving parts in this, and a lot of normies don't understand and don't know any of this stuff is going on. But the thing about it is, you also have to make them aware of it as well, because the normies are the ones that's going in and just eating this stuff up, and fully unaware of the war that's going on behind the scenes when it comes to fans versus these studios, and gamers versus these journalists and everything. But you have to also make these people fully aware what's going on and educate these people of what they have been doing to a lot of our favorite forms of entertainment. As most of you vote for a while, is these guys are in our government to affect the laws. Right now, the media is their focus to condition the masses. Exactly. Normies are indifferent. Thanks for letting moderate movie. The fault should also be on the actors as well, because they should know their market and their fan base, in my opinion. No, and that is also a perfect reason. It's a perfect thing too. But you also gotta understand. See, we have created this situation of, especially with social media, this cancel culture. This cancel culture situation has pretty much put the industry in a stranglehold, especially with the Me Too movement and all these other type of movements that we have going on, have pretty much put Hollywood, put the gaming industry all in a stranglehold. And cancel culture has been used as a weapon in order to gain control. And that's what's been going on. Because I guarantee you that there's a lot of these celebrities that's out there that don't believe in this shit. But they know that if they go out there and speak their mind, that they're not going to get any jobs in Hollywood, or if they're in the gaming industry, they know that their career is done. They know any of these things. They know all these things is possible that could possibly happen to them. So what they do is they fall victim to it, and then they run with the narrative. And then you also got people who just think this way, period. You know? So we also have that. And the worst thing about social media, and what social media has also done, it has gave these people, these small groups, a platform to be able to spill whatever nonsense they able to spill. And they able to use these platforms as a bullhorn to spread their message. They're a vocal minority, but they speak so loudly and so clearly and got the industry by the balls. And that is what we're going through, and that is what we are essentially experiencing right now within the entertainment industry as a whole. So it said Last of Us was a whole section of a town covered in gay flags. Say, yep, we get dominated by sex workers. They have all exactly. And that's what's going on right here. And another thing I wanted to also point out, because it still baffles my mind how these people, despite this, will still tell you that there's nothing going on, that this is all conspiracy theory. And they would tell you this. Perfect example, Eastern characters, especially Korea, right here with Stellar Blade with Eve. And then you got Mary Jane. And what is so disappointing is I grew up reading the Spider-Man comics. I grew up watching the Saturday morning cartoon of Spider-Man. And as a kid, I always had a crush on Mary Jane. And the crazy thing about it is, if someone who don't know anything about this culture war or don't know anything at all, but they're familiar with Spider-Man, but they're not into the culture war, or they know who Mary Jane is and stuff like that. And then if they were to walk in this room and I point them out and ask them who that is, they wouldn't know who that is. And I tell them it's Mary Jane, that will blow their mind. They said, no, that can't be Mary Jane. Mary Jane is supposed to be a bombshell, even as a reporter. Supposed to be a bombshell. She's always been that girl next door, that hard to obtain female character. That's how she always been. And right here, she looks like somebody's mother in their 40s. She don't look like Mary Jane at all. And they ruined this character. Now, the only thing I don't agree with right here, is the Kojima Productions character. I don't know which statement they was trying to make here or whatever, but looking at all the characters, especially the female characters from Death Stranding, perfect one-to-one depiction of these female characters in Kojima Productions. Like, Kojima is on point. With the Metal Gear series, even down to Death Stranding, he's on point with the one-to-one depiction of female characters and just actors in general, male or female. Just phenomenal. And then, of course, look at this. Look at this. This what baffles my mind. That when you point this out, people still think this is a conspiracy. This is done. This is all done on purpose. All done on purpose. Look. Look, Mass Effect Andromeda. Look at the male character, and look at the model. He's handsome and everything, well groomed, everything. But then you get down to her, and look what they did to her. This picture right here should say it all. This should tell you right here. And the thing is, the people that's behind all this is gay men, jealous women, especially feminist women, who are all behind this. This is the attack on beauty and the feminine. That's what this is an attack on. And of course, beta male feminist men. That's the ones that's running this right now. These people gots to go. So, on to the next topic. What we're going to talk about next, what we have here, which I find really, really funny, get everything together, is right here. We're going to talk about, and I want to bring this up on this folder real quick. Right here, tweets, bam. All right, here we go. Let me zoom in on this first. All right, so what we have here, there was a tweet that really caught my attention. Because if you guys haven't watched my other video where I talked about the hypocrisy of these journalists, especially how they cover news or like anything that revolves around sexuality of both male and female characters in video games, I made a video about that. You can go definitely check that out on my channel. But this tweet right here pretty much encapsulates everything that I said in this video. And I really wanted to talk about this because I find this really funny. I got this post from Manga Lawyer. If you haven't followed him, definitely give him a follow on Twitter. If you have a Twitter account, definitely follow Manga Lawyer. He posts a lot of culture war stuff, pointing out the crazy hypocrisy between gaming journalists. He also shows, you know, the shitty localizations for our favorite games. Oh wow! Thanks for subscribing. Welcome. Yeah. So I really wanted to talk about this is because it just further reinforces what I've been saying about how hypocritical these journalists are. And they've been this way for the past decade. And I keep saying this over and over again. This is why we should not take them serious whatsoever when it comes to anything revolving around gaming or anything around the whole Gamergate 2 information or anything above. So right here it says, from Manga Lawyer, he says, "Don't you dare make Aloy pretty. Mods for female characters are forbidden. Let them be realistic. Also the gamer." And you see this post right here. "Stop using mods to make female characters prettier," which I made a video about. We covered this last year when it came to Baldur's Gate. And then at the bottom, you have the hypocrisy. "Resident Evil 4 mod lets Leon take his willy out." So I looked at this and I said, okay, you know me. I also still want to look up I always want to see sources for things. Because as I said before in all my videos, I never want to spark outrage over information that may be fake. If it's fake news or fake information, I don't want to spark outrage or just for rage clicks and stuff like that. So even though I see this post here and I follow Manga Lawyer, I wanted to still dig in myself to see if I can find this exact article before I decide to make it and put this as a topic, which I found the article. And we're going to get into the article itself. First, this was from The Gamer. And this says, "Stop using mods to make female characters prettier." And I made a video about this already. So we won't be talking about this article per se, because I have a video on that going and breaking that down or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the one with Leon, since I never covered that one before. So this is also from the same news gaming journalist site, The Gamer. So we're going to go through this and we're going to talk about this one, because this is where the hypocrisy comes in. Because they talk about one thing, stop making mods to make female characters prettier, but then you have a headline like this. Resident Evil 4 mod lets Leon take his willy out. So Resident Evil 4 remake modders are already thirsty over Leon because of course. So it says Resident Evil 4 remake isn't even out yet. Now remember, this was last year. And it's already got a thriving modding community. Far too thriving. Some would say, as fans are making Leon hang dong in the recent gameplay demo. That's right, little Leon is there for us all to see, a week before the game actually launches. Needless to say, fans have their priorities sorted too, as the Resident Evil 4 Remake Nexus mod page is already full loot of Leon creations thirsting over his fancy new character model. Now, this is the thing that cracks me up about Nexus mod, and we covered Nexus mod here on this channel. We talked about it before, how Nexus mod had banned mods that surrounded Starfield, where remember the whole debacle with Heels versus Babyface, where he made that whole spit about the pronouns. When you go create your character in Starfield, you have the whole you can be able to choose your pronouns and everything. So people who didn't want that in their game, people had created a mod to remove the whole pronoun signifier. And essentially what happened was Nexus mod had pretty much took a side on the social political aspect of things and decided to ban anyone in any mod that allows you to remove the pronouns signifier. So this is what we're talking about here when it comes to Nexus mod. And also the same Nexus mod that removed any of the sexy mod costumes for the female characters in Persona 3 Reload. And we talked about in the videos how people saying that there was a lot of hypocrisy in that is because Nexus mod wanted to make the claim to say that the girls were underage, and yet they already have provocative costumes from the developers themselves as costumes, like as DLC costumes in the game. So what are you doing here if the developers themselves have costumes for the characters, but then you won't allow mods for you to put provocative costumes on these female characters? So you see where all this extends, and then you read an article like this where Nexus mod has no problem of having sexualization of Leon Kennedy with his dick out and everything in the mods. No problem with that at all. No, let's just keep all that in there, and they're all for it. That's where the hypocrisy comes into play. But we're going to continue. When I say Leon has his willy out, I really do mean that Leon has his willy out. So follow this link to the mods page at your own risk. And these motherfuckers even post a link to all this stuff. And the thing is, if you go to the other one where we talked about the Baldur's Gate 3, where that person had pretty much had an attitude about mods making females pretty, you don't see no links to be able to gain access to those mods. But when it comes to if you want to see Leon's dick, you know, we'll give you a link to that. So it says, and please don't say you weren't warned. Alas, I would probably lose my job if I shared it here uncensored. It's not a cartoony penis either, as the mod creator has gone to great lengths, to make it look realistic. As a bonus, because this is a bonus to these motherfuckers, we even get some Leon bum too. Some very weirdly, overly detailed Leon bum. Like, you can see the blood vessels in that thing. And you see how descriptive these guys are when it comes to sexualizing male characters. Like, I talked about it before with the Ghost of Tsushima article, where they wanted to see, where the guy was frustrated that you couldn't see Sakai's dick when it came to the springs. And when you read how this journalist talks about and sexualize the male character in the article, if you read it, it sounds as if you're reading a homoerotic novel or something like that. Of the details that they go through when you read it and how they explain the male anatomy. It just baffles my mind. But dear God, if you talk about a woman's curvature, talk about her ass or her boobs, or talk about how pretty she looks, all hell breaks loose. And this is why I talk about, this is why I hate so much about the hypocrisy of this. And of course, it's a dude. It's not a chick even talking about this. It's a dude. So you already know what that's all about. So it says 47 players have already installed it so far. And honestly, I can see that number going up pretty quickly. Resi fans have long thirsted after the cast, especially Mr. Kennedy, and now that he's been given the current gen remake treatment, it's safe to say that his stands are making the most of it. Of course, the entire cast will probably get new mods once the game is out. And guess what? We don't see no article about that. What about Ada? What about Ada Wong? What about Ashley? What about that? Of course you won't get an article about that, but you'll get an article about Leon Kennedy and his dick being out and how much veins he have in his ass and everything. You'll get that. So it says this is far from the only example of Resident Evil fans having some fun with the new demo. As we reported earlier this week, Shrek is already in the game, letting Leon take the ogre on in combat. Couple that with this new mod and you're in for a time of your life, and a game build that's very hard to explain to anyone who walks in on you. These people, man. These people. Can't believe it. He said, my camera is always under her. Anyone ever played Nier Automata? So, we're not done yet. We still got more hypocrisy from these journalists. We're going to move on to Kotaku. Like, Kotaku never lets you down. Kotaku never lets you down. And to also, just to elaborate more on it and where I got this from, to give credit where credit's due, this is from Permaban. Permaban had put this together. Permaban said, gee, I wonder why Kotaku management are getting sick of their journalists. That they want them to behave a little less embarrassingly. So look at this. You see from the same journalist outlet. I demand to see Oro's dick and balls in Street Fighter V. It seems like Kotaku and many of these places got obsession with dick and balls when it comes to male characters. But when it comes to female characters, or whatever, and we're just talking about her body shape and what she wears, they have a big issue with it. And that's how you can tell that there's an agenda going on within the industry when it comes to this. So look at the headlines. I demand to see Oro's dick and balls in Street Fighter V. And then you look at the same outlet that says Lost Ark depiction of female characters feels a decade out of date because of how the female characters dress. And for them to be so much for women and being progressive and everything like that, the first thing they comment about is how a woman looks and how she dresses in these video games. But have no problem talking about a man's dick and his balls. That's the crazy thing that gets me. But we're gonna go to the article and we're gonna read this. So in the article, it says, during today's spring update, Capcom provided an early look at how returning fighter Oro will play in Street Fighter V. There's only one problem. Not once did they show his dick and balls. Why is that important? Why is that important? Of all things to talk about when it comes to this article, when it comes to the reveal of Oro, not about his moveset, not about any of that. The thing that this motherfucker is worrying about and concerned about is why can't you see his dick and balls? Why can't you see it? Why? But I'm a perv. I'm an incel. When I talk about Eve's jiggle physics and Stellar Blade. Anyway, as we continue, Oro, who was first introduced to the world in 1997 Street Fighter 3, New Generation, is one of my favorite Street Fighter characters. He's one of the canonically strongest fighters in the game's universe. So dang powerful, he ties one arm behind his back while fighting supernatural martial artists like Ryu and Akuma, just to make things fair. He's also the only Street Fighter character who canonically has a twig and berries. Oh my god. Street Fighter V pays homage to Oro's one-hand fighting style by forcing him to constantly occupy a hand keeping a pet turtle safe. But that's where the similarities end. Okay, sure, Oro's moveset in the new game looks to be splitting image of his abilities in Street Fighter 3, but his classic outfit has one unmissable addition that completely ruins his return. Carefully scrutinize the following screenshot and I'll wait. underwear. Some jerk slapped a pair of underwear on the series' only free baller. So wait a minute here. Wait a minute. So you mean to tell me when we were complaining about gamers, about Square Enix covering up Tifa's original outfit, put the black top underneath Tifa's boobs, we were incels, we were pervs, and we were man babies because of what they done. And this person right here is upset that this character Oro has underwear underneath and you can't see his dick and balls. But that's okay. But that is okay. We complained about Tifa being censored, and we were blasted for that. We were crucified for that. But this person right here is upset that they covered Oro's junk. And no one calls them out for this. No one calls them out for this. Yes, I agree, Tatterpants. God tier hypocrisy. And I agree, Kalel. Rules for thee, but not for me. This is what I'm talking about here. We always point this out. Anytime you argue with these journalists, or anytime you argue with these NPCs, always point this out to these people. Point this out. Throw this in their face. Throw it in their face. And this would shut them down. It said if they know Oro only wears a loose-fitting gi, giving a thin strip of cloth and rope belt the insurmountable task of hiding the fact that he's very much going commando. This is true, Oro. How am I supposed to enjoy his return in Street Fighter V if I can't see that shriveled yellow dong every time he performs a crouching roundhouse? Look at this shit. This is some perverted shit. This is a journal. This is not even journalism right here. This is not journalism. This is a person that's getting off, getting hot and horny over the fact is that they can't see his junk. They want to see his dick but can't. And they salivating at the fact is that how Capcom is teasing them. How is this journalism? How is this journalism? I don't understand this. How was this allowed to be published? How? If I was to say something like this, if you was to say something like this, especially being a straight male, if you was to say something like this and post something like this, everybody's coming for you. You're going to be canceled for this. You're going to be canceled for this. But obviously, these motherfuckers is allowed to do this. They're allowed to do this. So, he said, let me be clear. I'm not thirsty. I'm not horny. Wait, so you're not thirsty? You're not horny? You just got finished saying, how am I supposed to enjoy his return to Street Fighter V if I can't see his shriveled yellow dong every time he performs a crouching roundhouse? So you're not thirsty, you're not horny. I don't want Oro to levelly caress me, and I don't want to spend the night with him in his hermit cave. This is 100% a matter of integrity. So this is the only time you care about source material or integrity, that you wish that Capcom had, not did that to Oro by putting underpants on him. But we wanted to keep Tifa's character intact and have integrity by not censoring Tifa by putting the black undergarments underneath her white top. We wanted the integrity of the character, but we were pervs for that. We were man babies for that. But you care about integrity in this case. Capcom fixed this travesty. Hell, hide those mysterious ancient genitalia behind a costume code or classic costume DLC. I don't care. I need that dick or I'm boycotting your game. Just please don't look at my Steam profile. I don't know how to make it private. And they're allowed to get away with this. They're allowed to get away. They allowed to get away with this. It says, Mugen, this is the most emotional I've seen out of you, and I fucking love it. Oh yeah. Because my streams, I'm more uncut. I wouldn't say that I hold back on my videos, but I try, if for me to be able to give you the information correctly, I have to plot it out. I have to put it in digestible format for you guys. But when I'm streaming, this is all uncut, unfiltered. This is not rehearsed. This is not scripted. So you're going to get my natural reaction, my natural response, because I never read this article. I saved this article for this podcast for you guys. So you'll be able to get my actual response and everything as we read through it together. So it feels much more real for you guys. But we're not done yet. We're going to move on to the Lost Ark female characters in this. By the same art, this the same publicist here. What we have here, we have Lost Ark's depiction of female characters feels a decade out of date. The free-to-play action MMO RPG forces women to wear heels and has gender-locked classes. Oh my god, the travesty. Oh my fucking god. Women are oppressed and shit. So let's get into this. Lost Ark is a lot of fun. I've played hours and hours of it. So what's the problem? What's the problem? You having fun with the game. You having fun. You are having fun with the game. So what is the fucking problem here? I don't get it. What's like you letting us know from the get-go that you're enjoying the game. And in my personal opinion, that's all that matters. Anything else is just bullshit. Anything else is just grifting from here. So let's continue. I played hours and hours of it, and I'm excited to play more. However, the latest smash hit on Steam is facing criticism for how it portrays its female characters. Specifically, the game features some truly silly female animation, gives women a few options besides revealing armor, forces them to wear heels, and use gender-locked classes. This would have been a problem in 2012. Now, in 2022, it's not only bad, it seems as if folks making this game just ignored the last decade or so of discussion and debate surrounding representation of women and non-masculine characters in games. So, hold the fuck up. The game itself only has women in sexy armor and got them in high heels. But here it is, they have an issue with this. But when you go back to their other posts and their other articles, these guys want to see dick and balls. And quite upset and quite mad that a male character is covered up so you can't see dick and balls. But you have an issue of a woman being in heels, in sexy armor. If these motherfuckers not this, you can tell the people that's bitching about this is gay motherfuckers, like motherfuckers who just don't like the female gender. It's nothing but, as I said, angry fat feminists with the Captain Marvel Kool-Aid haircuts and gay guys, gay motherfuckers. These are the people who are upset at this shit. This is why I keep telling you guys. I keep repeating myself when it comes to this, man, that this is an attack on femininity. It's an attack on femininity. And we also want to talk about the attack on masculinity as well. I also covered that on my channel, what they're doing to masculinity. But they're attacking men in a much more different way. But when it comes to video games, when it comes to the depiction of femininity and the beauty and, you know, the female curvature, this is what the attack is on. So, as I continue, it says that when I first started playing Lost Ark, I booted up the game and created a paladin named Zach, who was a dude. I'm very boring. However, even as a male character, I noticed how many of the female characters around me seem to be lacking pants. And I'm not the only person who noticed. Other players have pointed out how hard it is for a female character to find clothing and armor that actually, you know, covers your body. I doubt that people are saying that. I doubt that is a bunch of people that's saying that it's hard to find armor to cover up a female character. Because statistically, and you always find in the comment section, especially in my videos, and I really appreciated that, there's a lot of female gamers that has been tuning in to a lot of my content and voicing their opinions on this. And they even say it themselves that they don't want to play as an ugly ass female character. They want to feel beautiful. They want to look sexy when beating and kicking ass in these games. So it's crazy. And another thing you have to also watch out with these journalists is that they also take small issues and then turn them into big issues. Because I doubt that there's a bunch of people going around being upset that the female characters are dressed sexy in heels in this game. And we gotta remember, Lost Ark, at the time that this game was especially came to the West, had a big player base, especially on Steam. The numbers were really high. And out of all that, there was not once any arguments or any discussion within the gaming community itself. Because you also got to understand, you got to separate the gaming community, what the gaming community is talking about, versus what these journalists are making up and what they're talking about. Because I guarantee you, and this is a Korean game, Korean players don't fucking play, especially when it comes to their female characters. Female characters are sexy as fuck, but badass. And a lot of female Korean players also like sexy as fuck female characters as well. And we also talked about, too, in my recent video that I uploaded today, that's revolved around Unknown 9, there was also a problem when it came to World of Warcraft, when it came to their Horde mode, I think it was called, and they noticed that they didn't have a lot of players playing that mode or something like that, or that specific feature. And at the time, the Korean install base for World of Warcraft was higher than any other install base at that time, and they realized that a lot of Korean players wasn't playing that mode. And then also a lot of Chinese players wasn't playing that mode as well. And the whole goal was they need, like, if the Koreans are their big player base, they want to capitalize on it. But they noticed that, yo, this mode is not working. Why aren't they gravitating towards it? So one of the, I guess you say, head designers or directors or whatever had pretty much looked into the Korean department of Activision Blizzard and started doing some investigating and finding out what's going on. So he went to do some investigating to see what popular MMOs that are out there that the Korean install base is playing. And then he noticed that all the monster characters are beautiful and sexy as fuck. And all the Korean players are playing this, and they prefer to have hot-looking female character monsters. So then he realized that the reason why a lot of people is not playing this mode is because when you look at the female monsters that they had, they were like ugly looking and just look disgusting. So that's why he said they had to come up with and create the dark elf and make the dark elf look beautiful or look sexy looking. And then they noticed that there was a shift and then there was a change after they have implemented a hot looking female monster character. So you have to understand, it's not only men that love nice looking characters, females love nice looking female characters as well. But we're going to continue. So I wanted to experience this myself, so I started up a new character. Although she was fully clothed and armored, in the character creation menu, the moment I start the game, my new heroine was stripped down to nearly nothing and plopped in some heels. And that was that. I spent nearly 2 hours running around doing quests and killing monsters before I finally found a new pair of pants and weren't just booty shorts. Instead, these were slightly longer booty shorts. And another thing I want to point out too, that goes to show, is a female player within the Final Fantasy. I can't remember her name. It's off the top of my head, but she normally plays Final Fantasy 14 online. Now, there was a big issue that a lot of players have. Especially when it comes to female characters. A lot of females and a lot of players, they want their female characters to look sexy or have some type of curvature to them. And the thing at the time, especially with Final Fantasy 14, you really couldn't. The people that had an issue is that a lot of the female characters that you create in Final Fantasy 14 has a flat ass. So what happened was, once the Nier Automata crossover with Final Fantasy 14 event had happened, you were able to get 2B's outfit for your character in Final Fantasy 14 for your female character. Now what happened is, 2B has panties that you can equip, And players realize that when you equip these panties on your female character, it actually gives your female character a nice looking ass. So that's when you start seeing a lot of people going out for that quest to get that outfit so they can give their female characters a nice looking ass. So it goes to show that this is what gamers want. And any two times or any time that you go against that, you're going to receive backlash. But these journalists try to create this narrative that this is an issue when it comes to female representation, when it's not. When you look at what the gaming community is saying, the gaming community is not saying this. The gaming community is saying something completely different than what the mainstream media is saying when it comes to female representation in video games. And this is what people have to really hone in and realize, that the mainstream media is not on your side, and the mainstream media is not the real world. They are not the real news. They do not speak for us as gamers. But let us move on once again. But before I do that, let me look at the comment section. Yeah, it's only gear that makes your bum bigger. Yeah, I think Ivy from Soul Calibur was designed well, and it provided a contrast from the other female characters. I glamour that for my female avatar. Exactly. So there's a lot of you guys who knows this, and who played Final Fantasy 14 and knows about the whole 2B outfit. Some say 2B's butt doesn't shake enough, and Nikkei, Goddess of Victory. They don't understand basic biology. Mugen Lord. Hey, and also share your Steam. Oh, thanks, Chris. Thanks, appreciate it. So yeah, so this is why we have to ignore when it comes to the narrative that the mainstream media puts out when it comes to trying to speak for the gaming community, because the gaming community voice is totally different than what the mainstream media is trying to say. To be clear, I have no problem with people wanting to wear short shorts or heels. So what the fuck is the point of this article? Whatever works for you and makes you feel good, I'm down for it. And I think video games should include options for people who want to wear revealing clothes and super high heels. However, it's frustrating that in 2022 we still have to remind game devs, publishers, that women might want a choice in how they look. They do have a choice in how they look. You're the ones that's bitching and complaining about it. You don't have gamers lining up, because if gamers were actually going to these studios and saying this, they would have done this a long time ago. If there's a bunch of gamers getting behind each other and complaining about female characters not having the option, trust me, they would have made that change. But it's not the gamers. It's the journalists. It's the journalists that's bullying these developers and rallying a campaign against these developers to force them into making these kind of decisions. And what I love about these Korean studios is the fact is that they don't give a fuck. They don't. This is why we have Stellar Blade and the main protagonist, Eve. This is why we have this. This is why we have what's the game? We got finished talking about. Nikkei, the Goddess of Victory. This is why we have games like this. This is why we have the First Descendant, which I was able to get into the beta of the game, and you can check that out as well. The female characters are beautiful in that damn game. Beautiful. So if actual gamers were really actually upset about females not having a choice and options and how they can dress their character up, best believe gamers will unify together and start hounding down these developers. But it's not the game community. It's these journalists. It's these activists that's doing this shit. It's them. So, let's continue down. And the thing is, this person is saying they have no problem with this. So why are you wasting your fucking time with this article? Why are you bitching then? If you have no problem with this, why are you bitching over this? So even if Lost Ark offer a wide variety of clothing and armor to women, it wouldn't fix this other big problem with women. All of the hyper exaggerated fan service animations. Women in Lost Ark have hips that wiggle side to side so much so quickly they look like they fell off the Source filmmaker project from a decade ago. On social media, you can find lots of women who have already pointed out just how comically bad the female animations look, especially when zoomed in. They're laughing and making fun of it, but they're not saying they have a problem with this. Only these journalists are making a problem on this. And another thing about female characters, especially when it comes to character creating, when creating avatars. And I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, when it comes to creating characters and having female characters, especially in Monster Hunter, the female characters their armor always look better than the male characters. The female armors in Monster Hunter looks way better than the male characters. Even when it comes to customization, females always have more options when it comes to clothing. I'm not sure how it is today, but I know back in the day, when you was to create a character and choose like default outfits and what you can do with the female character, she always had more options than the male character. The male character is basic as hell. It's basic as fuck. Most of the male characters are boring as shit when it comes to creating your male character and everything. But they always make sure that the female characters has a lot for you, a lot of wiggle room to play around and actually dress up and customize. And I never had an issue with that. Never had an issue. That's why when I did play Monster Hunter a lot back in the day, I had a male character and a female character. But I always had put a lot into my female character because her armor always looked dope and always looked badass, and it just aesthetically it looked better than most of the male characters. It always did. So it said they do it once, it means they don't give a fuck about you, but the mob. Yeah, I got confused for a sec. Like it was permanent. Yeah, so he said in a blog post announcing that it had plans to add more gender options for classes, Smilegate even acknowledged that folks in the West have been critical of the decision for some time now, yet it's still launched like this because guess what? It wasn't the gamers. It was a small minority group that was bitching about this. And it said, and yet they still launched it like this because, as we said before, is a small minority that's doing all this bitching. They're not going to listen to a small minority, especially when you look at the player count at the time. People were jumping into this game and playing the fuck out of this game. So why would they listen? So obviously it's not that much of a big deal if people are lining up to play this game, regardless of how these people bitch and complain about gender specific options for characters. As has been pointed out by some fans and longtime players, there are definitely some cultural differences between South Korea and United States, Europe, when it comes to how MMOs and free-to-play games are marketed and developed. Still, it doesn't seem like a big ask to give female characters access to all classes, or at the very least, a more suitable array of clothing, cosmetics, and options. No, this is how Korean games are done. And if you don't like it, then don't play the game. And this is the problem when it comes to these activists and these kind of people. And this is why, and this was the problem of why we didn't, this is what happened when we don't gatekeep. Because a lot of these people came into this hobby, and the thing about hobbies, you're supposed to embrace the hobby, embrace the culture for what it is. You grow into it. You embrace it. But if you have to come into a hobby and demand that they cater the hobby to you and change specific things for you, then obviously you're not a fucking fan of this hobby at all if you demand change for it instead of embracing it with the rest of the culture. These communities and these games, this is a culture. Every game, every community has a culture. And when you're invited in this culture, and like any other culture, you embrace the culture. You assimilate into that culture. But these motherfuckers, these journalists, they come in every fucking time, and they come in and they demand that you change it. You demand that you cater to them. And this is what happens when you don't gatekeep. Because when they come in here, they ruin it for every fucking body. But that's pretty much it for the hypocrisy aspect when it comes to these journalists. And we're going to move on to our next topic here, which is what we have. Oh, yeah. IGN with their stupid article, which I'll be making a video on its own. I'll be making a video of its own next week probably when it comes to this. Because as I said before, you guys get a taste of the things that I will be talking about in my streams. So you guys are getting, I guess you say, beforehand knowledge of what I will be covering on my channel through these streams. So this is gonna be this is gonna be something that I will cover on my channel, but you guys will be the first for us to actually talk about it and discuss it here. And before we go into this article, I'm gonna read the comment sections and see what we got. He said, and I played. So James said, and played Final Fantasy 14 since 2013. Not any fucking more anymore. Fuck Yoshi P. Did you not pay attention to what I said? They nerfed it once and reverted it. Said James, yes, it was why I said in the nerf the leggings. You can't gatekeep the hiring practices of a studio, and the problems start here in my book. You're right, Math79. I agree with that, Math. I definitely agree with that. Let's not talk about how he's made easy mode on every fucking raid, homogenized every job, gutting jobs like Dark Knight and Stormblood, and just catering to casuals. I definitely want to talk about Final Fantasy 14 in a stream later. I don't know when, because I gotta get back into 14. I think that'd be a nice topic to talk about. Let's see. We have Silveroni. Silveroni said, we gatekeep these tourists and anyone who even hints at, oh, this game is problematic. Kim Sama, Capcom is a woke ESG company, so they'll listen to IGN. Once is enough. Can't spell ignorance without IGN. Rolling Dodge. Mugen Lord, I wish that more game devs did what Helldivers did. Ignore these weirdos. You said the audio's a little low. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? It says, yeah, Yoshi P explained in the packs how each expansion had a goal in mind. I guess I'll move up a little bit. You guys, okay. All right, so we're going to go into this. We're going to go into this right now. It says the Resident Evil game that can't be remade. Now, this right here, this part, he goes through the history of Resident Evil 5, which we're not going to do. We're going to go down to where it really matters. Capcom has an opportunity to ignore the past and completely reinvent this chunk of the timeline. And this is the thing that pisses me off when it comes to Resident Evil, because this was a problem even back when Resident Evil 5 was announced, even during the Xbox 360 and PS3 era. So we're gonna read this real quick. So where does Capcom go now? Personally, I look backwards. Capcom, Code Veronica is an ideal candidate. Now, if anything, I would like to see them do Code Veronica first before they do Resident Evil 5 remake, because I think they should do a Resident Evil 5 remake, because I do love his multiplayer mode. I think they did a good job with the multiplayer mode in that regards of Resident Evil 5. But if they was going to do the next Resident Evil the remake that he should do next, it should be Code Veronica. But anyway, Code Veronica is an ideal candidate, as is the original Resident Evil. But if the only way is chronologically forward, then a total rewrite of what comes next is the logical path. Because what followed Resident Evil 4 was not a terrible game. But 2, Resident Evil 6 doubled down. No, triple down on the action-packed, set-piece, heavy shooter design to the extent that much of it could be mistaken for a third-person Call of Duty spin-off, were it not for the monsters. Its restrictive level design particularly puts you in a chokehold. Oh, so yeah, so we're gonna go back down. So is this the one? No, where is it? Did I do it? Resident Evil post credit. I think I skipped it. Wait, hold up, guys. Chris Redfield. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there we go. This is the one. I read the wrong one. A faithful remake of Resident Evil 5 will break Capcom's 7-year streak of brilliant survival horror. Yeah, here it is. So all this to say that a faithful Resident Evil remake of Resident Evil 5 would break Capcom's 7-year streak of brilliant survival horror games. It's telling that the series' reset point, Resident Evil 7, was a reinvention of the very first game. Dude, I hate Resident Evil. The new Resident Evil is not Resident Evil to me, in my personal opinion. You can tell, and Capcom is known for this. Capcom is definitely known for taking an IP, for creating a new IP, and then as they get farther into development, then they turn around and say, you know what? They get cold feet, and then taking that IP that was supposed to be a brand new IP, and then turn it into an existing IP. Or they would start out making an existing IP, and then the game strays so far from the path of what that IP represents, and then turn it into a new IP. Capcom is known for that shit. So it's telling that the series, a reset point, Resident Evil 7, was a reinvention of the very first game. A haunted house that grew ever larger as you unlock new rooms by solving its puzzles. Clever reinventions of this base conceit is the key to Resident Evil's success. Be that dropping an unstoppable force into the house's corridor, Resident Evil's 2 Mr. X, or expanding the scope of the house, Resident Evil Village to tutelar location is effectively a giant manor. So, of course, when it comes to remakes can, of course, completely redefine the structure of their source material. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, for example, is recognizably an update version of the classic RPG. That shit is not a fucking update. That shit is just a fucking reimagine. They didn't update shit. They just changed it. That's not the same fucking game. But its world design and gameplay mechanics are a world apart from the original 1997 original. And so you could argue that Resident Evil 5 is actually the Resident Evil most need of a remake. No, it's not a remake. You're telling them to change the whole fucking game. That's what you're asking them to do. Because Final Fantasy VII changes. It's a change. It's a reimagine. It's not the original game at all. There's yes, it follows the same story beats, but the story beats are under a whole different context because the entire theme of the game is totally different from the original theme of Final Fantasy VII. So what they're asking for Resident Evil 5, you're asking them to change the entire fucking game. That's what you tell them, to the point is that it's not recognizable at all. And so you could argue that Resident Evil 5 is actually the Resident Evil with the most need of a remake. A whole new environment structure and scenario design that reigns in the action and dials up the horror would bring it in line with the Capcom's other remakes. But all of this doesn't account for Resident Evil's most notorious problem, racism. So this is the thing I have an issue with. I don't understand how it's race. These journalists turns this into a racist discussion, because when they first announced Resident Evil, you know what? I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to this in a second, because this irritates me. Because every time you see black people, or whenever black people was associated in something in Hollywood or in gaming itself, they always want to put kid gloves on us, or they always want to pretend that they're trying to protect us, or they want to seem virtuous that, hey, we're standing up for black people, when this in itself is racist. But we'll continue. Set in a fictional West African country, Resident Evil 5 primary antagonists are black people. Yes, technically it's the Ouroboros virus that the protagonist Chris Redfield is fighting. Yes, they even said it themselves. It's not technically black people. They're fighting the Ouroboros. These people are infected. You're not proactively going around killing black people. You're fighting infected people like you're fighting infected people in any other fucking Resident Evil game. But the Parasites host is depicted as a nation of mobs and primitives who are violent and even before their infection. Intentionally or not, Resident Evil 5 positions Africa as the Dark Continent, an uncivilized world harboring a diseased population that needs gunning down via Western intervention in the name of global security. And this is the thing that pisses me off. Nowhere is anybody seeing any of this. If this is the first thing that comes to your mind, that you see, that you're playing a game that takes place in Africa, where in any other game that you travel to different countries fighting infected people, but when it comes to Africa, and you're trying to survive against a horde of Ouroboros, and the first thing you think of is racism, that they're trying to depict black people as violent and stuff, the problem is you, because no one is thinking this as a Resident Evil fan. And the thing is, the reason why it's called the Dark Continent, and these people ignored this fact for Resident Evil 5, this is where the whole outbreak started. It's all like the whole T-virus, everything started here with the plant that they found. That dispenser and Umbrella, they took the plant. And the thing is, they were experimenting on these people to test this, because Spencer wanted to eat immortality. That's what this whole thing was about, trying to strive for immortality. And it ended up becoming a clusterfuck, and this is why we have Resident Evil and these outbreaks, because it all originated from here because of that plant. So anyway, this insensitive treatment of people of color, how is this insensitive treatment? So you're meaning to tell me, because in Resident Evil 4, you were in Spain, you was in some type of European country. It was okay to kill European people. You was able to kill these European natives. You're able to kill them. You're able to kill these parasites, and these people had the Ouroboros or the parasites in them themselves. You were okay. You're able to shoot them up, right? But all of a sudden, now they want to add a new country, a new region, a new continent into the Resident Evil lore. And since the people happen to be dark skinned and melanated, all of a sudden it's racist now. So you're okay to shoot everybody else or every nationality, but when it comes to black people or black people now being represented as far as the virus is concerned, it's off limits. It's automatically deemed as racist because of that. I don't understand this. I really don't. And what cracks me up is you didn't get this article when Resident Evil 6 came out, because in Resident Evil 6, you was in China. You was shooting the Chinese. You was fucking up the Chinese in that. Because it was an infection going on in China. But you didn't see no articles about that. But when it comes to this is where you guys draw the line. Yeah, it was a classic. I agree. Mephisto, I agree. It was a classic clickbait and hate article. Careful, Mugen. You're making too much sense. They can't handle it. Yeah. And that's what pisses me off. It's like when it comes to people of color or black people, you are not allowed to criticize. You are not allowed to even include them in a certain manner. But everybody else, you can include in that manner, and it's totally okay. This is a video game. No one is taking the real life and trying to put it into the real world. If every other country or every other nation can be represented in Resident Evil, then why can't Africa be represented in this sense? And then on top of that, you have a female protagonist who's African, Sheva. One of my favorite. Sheva is sexy as fuck. Sheva is one of my favorite Resident Evil female characters besides Jill. I love Sheva's design, and Sheva is very capable, and she makes a perfect partner in Resident Evil 5 for Chris Redfield. So you have a female protagonist who's overshadowed, who plays an essential role in Resident Evil 5, and instead you turn this into a racist issue. It just boggles my mind. So it says, this insensitive treatment of people of color was hotly debated as early as Resident Evil 5 debuted trailer, with writers such as IGN. This is what I'm talking about. These are writers pointing out the game's uncomfortable post-colonial imagery. This is what I'm talking about. They're saying that the problem comes from the writers. The writers brought up this issue. Gamers didn't come up with this issue. Gamers never came up with this. You know what I was thinking when I seen Resident Evil 5? When they first revealed the trailer, we didn't even know it was a Resident Evil game. We just see Africa. We hear this guy talking. We didn't even know it was Chris Redfield. But the moment Chris Redfield said, I'm Chris Redfield. And what did he say? And I'm going to make it out of here alive or something like that. When I heard that, when he said, I'm Chris Redfield, I lost my shit. I was hyped. Because my boy Chris Redfield is back. And this is a brand new Resident Evil game. And it's a co-op multiplayer. And then they added a fine-ass African woman named Sheva into the mix. And you can play as her too? That's what I was hyped about. Nowhere even crossed my mind that oh shit, I'm shooting niggas. I'm shooting black folks and shit like that. I'm shooting Africans. Oh my god, this is racist. What? No gamer. I guarantee you there was no gamer that was thinking about that. And if anything, there was black folks that I knew, they were happy that the game took place in Africa because this was a different region. This was a different continent. This was a different landscape that Resident Evil would have never approached before. So a lot of gamers was imagining how would they approach this as far as Resident Evil is concerned, because most Resident Evil games take place in corridors, take place in facilities, laboratories. But now you're in Africa. You're in a much more like open space. You're outside and it's bright sunlight. So people are more intrigued and more curious about that, of what Africa would bring to the Resident Evil franchise itself in terms of gameplay. This is what gamers were saying. This is why I keep saying separate the voices of journalists from the gamers. Let's listen to what the gamers are saying. Because what the journalists are saying is never the reality of things. Gamers weren't saying this. Gamers wasn't making this about race or anything. One, people are happy that Chris Redfield is back. Because remember, the last time we saw Chris Redfield was in Resident Evil Code Veronica on the Sega Dreamcast and then ported over to the PS2. But you know how many years that was before we get this game? We haven't seen Chris Redfield in a long time. So when Chris Redfield no one thought that he was going to be returning. No one thought. It didn't even cross our mind. Because Resident Evil 4 was Leon Kennedy. So we didn't think that the next Resident Evil game was going to bring our boy Chris Redfield back. This is what everybody was happy about. And then they brought Jill back and Wesker back in this as you played through the game. This is what fans were talking about. Fans weren't talking about the racism and colonialism and stuff. This is what these fucking journalists are talking about. This is what they're talking about. These people are clowns. These people want to be activists and politicians and senators so bad. And this is what I'm talking about. When it comes to these journalists, these are the people who didn't make it, who didn't crack out to be activists or couldn't make it into the political realm. So they moved into a industry to where they thought, or what they figured, that they're able to project their voice and their agenda and their narratives into a community that was never open, that never had any of these problems or had any of these issues. And these people came in because we didn't gatekeep. They came in and then they run it amok. So it says remakes may be able to redefine their source material, but there's only so many changes you can make until it's not a remake at all. Exactly. Like, motherfucker, like, you know that if you want to change it, that this game won't be a remake, it'll be a different game. You know that. You know that. So this is stupid. This whole article is just pointless. Pointless. Even with a vast improved, more sensitive take on the continent, no, we don't need no sensitive take. That's the whole point about a video game. Let the artists, let the developers, let them create art. Let their vision be seen. Let their stories be told. We don't need no changes. Let us explore these worlds. Let us decide for ourselves whether or not that we want these stories to be told. Who the fuck are you guys? But that's essentially it for this article. So we got one more there's one more article we're going to address before we pretty much start wrapping things up, and then we're going to close out, and then, you know, any questions that you guys have, or, you know, we'll just chat for a little bit, and then we'll close out completely. So I'm going to bring up this other article that that's been going around, that was going around on Twitter. So I'm going to bring this up in a second. Let me go pull it up. There's some people talking about this. This article right here comes from the website Dixerto. Right here. Wait 1 second, guys. Hold up. So we have Guilty Gear Strive's creator had to destroy past games to keep series alive. Now, to remind you guys that this will be a video to itself. I'm going to make a video. Like I said, when I cover these topics, these videos won't be stream highlights. These will be brand new videos like how I normally do my videos. So there will be a video about this that I will do a deeper look into as well. And this will probably be covered next week, since this week's videos are pretty much essentially done for this week. So this will probably be a next week video. But you guys will get first dibs on this right now on this stream. Like I said, I didn't read this article yet, so we'll be going through this together for the first time, so you'll get my actual raw reaction, my raw response, and everything like that. So we're going to dive right into this. So it says Guilty Gear Strive creators had to destroy past games to keep the series alive. So it says, we spoke with the development team behind Guilty Gear Strive for an eye-opening conversation about the challenges of making a fighting game that's bucking major trends for Arc System Works as it seeks to connect with its global fan base. Guilty Gear Strive is the latest installment in the beloved fighting game franchise that first kicked off in 1998. Damn, I feel so fucking old. 1998, god damn. Let me see, where was I in 1998? What grade was I in, if I can remember? Because, let me see, Dreamcast came out in 1999, and when Dreamcast came out in 1999, I was in 7th grade going on 8th grade when Dreamcast came out. So if it's in 1998, that means I was in 6th grade going into 7th grade, or it may be the beginning of my 7th grade semester. So yeah, I possibly was in 7th grade during this time when Guilty Gear came out. So damn, I feel so fucking old. Over the years, it's seen an eye-popping amount of evolution, most notably when the series made the permanent jump from 2D to 3D with the release of Guilty Gear XR in 2014. XR became a staple in the fighting game community with its explosive graphics and ripping soundtrack. Strive elevated these elements to new heights, introducing new exciting characters like Nagariyuki, which is the Black Samurai guy, and bringing back old favorites such as Season 3 DLC fighter Abba, a character Guilty Gear creator Daisuke told us has been planning to bring back to the franchise for several years. Even years after its initial 2021 release, the game is still a massive hit among fighting game players. But little do they know that the title was much needed refresher for the Guilty Gear franchise. So before we move on to the next part, my opinions on Guilty Gear Strive, period, is I can't, as far as the franchise is concerned, period, I love the art design and everything, but for some reason, I just cannot get into the lore of Guilty Gear. I can't get into the playstyle of the characters. For some reason, I haven't found a Guilty Gear character that resonated enough for me to actually get into this series. I had bought XR and couldn't play it. I just couldn't get into the any of the characters. None of the characters really stuck out to me that really said, "Hey, this character is fun. I want to perfect and get better with this character." And then of course the combos, like the game, like the combos and stuff in XR and past Guilty Gear games is ridiculous. I mean, I guess you would say the entry level, the barrier to entry is the skill ceiling is very high in Guilty Gear. Now, you know me, if the skill ceiling is high, I'm not demanding them to lower it for me at all. I'm a type of person that will adapt any way I can in order to be able to get good at a game. So I'm not saying that. But yes, the skill ceiling is another thing that really turned me away from it. Is because for the simple fact is that when you play these Guilty Gear games, Guilty Gear has legacy, is a legacy game, meaning that every Guilty Gear game you can take that prior knowledge from Guilty Gear, from a past Guilty Gear game, and bring it over to the next game. So if you're a new player, you have fans that played every last one of them. They haven't skipped a beat. They don't have to relearn the game because all that legacy knowledge can carry over. So you're starting from scratch while other players are way up here. And the problem that I had with XR is, by the time I really got into XR, there was no people on my skill level for me to actually learn and level up with other players. By the time I got to Guilty Gear, especially with XR at the time, Revelator 2, like, everybody's up here. So when I'm getting into these lobbies, and plus the netcode is ass too, but when I do get into these lobbies, everybody's busting my ass. Everybody is like combo fiends. And I like my lingo, when I call somebody a combo fiend, I call them dick beaters. Like, they just beating their dick against the controller. Like, they just jerking off to the game. That's how good they are. That's my lingo when I say somebody is good at a game. That they just jerking off to it. Like, they eat and sleep the game. So these guys, I'm going against dick beaters. They just beating their dick to this game. And they just fucking good at this game. They just sweaty as fuck. You know, which is another term. They sweaty players. So when I get into Guilty Gear, it's nothing but sweaty players that's left. So I'm constantly getting schooled. So I get discouraged because, like, I'm losing every game. And the thing is, you know, it's not about winning. Like, you learn a lot from losing, but at the same time, I want to have fun. I'm not even having fun when I'm just getting my ass dusted by a lot of these dick beaters that's playing this game. So that was always my issue with Guilty Gear. But I knew when Strive came out, when they said they wanted to take a different approach with easy controls and everything like that, I said, oh, here we go. And I'm like I said before, I don't want developers to try to cater to someone like me. Because if I like a fighting game, I don't care how hard it is. If I really like it, I will stick around and play it. And Guilty Gear wasn't that game that I really liked, so I didn't stick around. So developers are wasting their times trying to cater to someone like me to get me to go back into it. I just don't care about the game enough for me to really want to sit down and actually play it. So we're going to continue. So I'm trash online, but I still love fighting games. Mugen got no chill. So yeah, that's the term, guys. Dick beaters. Like they just dick beating, just beating their dick to the controller in the lab. Just dick beating away to the combos and just labbing it up. So yeah, so it says Guilty Gear devs wanted Strive to destroy XR. The process of making Guilty Gear Strive the breakout success today wasn't an easy one. In an eye-opening conversation, series creator Ishi Watatari explained the big difference between Strive and XR, claiming that their goal was to break XR with Strive's improvements. I quote, the decisive difference between Strive and XR is that Strive was made to destroy XR. He told us, in that sense, we were trying to make XR an example of failure. Of course, it wasn't a failure, but we had to change the direction completely. We had to prepare for that. So my interpretation is that XR, despite that the game was really, really good and it resonated with players, it wasn't enough to expand to a wider audience. That it only was homogenized. It only still kept that small niche player base. That's what it did. So in that sense, for them, that game was a failure in that sense of not appealing to be able to bring in newer players because of the gameplay mechanics. That's very hardcore. It has legacy gameplay and everything like that. So they figured with Strive, their goal was to pretty much branch out, break down the mechanics, make the mechanics have universal appeal to be able to bring in this new install base. So the game director Akira Katano also chimed in, explaining that the team is focusing on their broader player base outside of Japan with Strive, and that's the problem with this, man. Like the West is so powerful, man. That's the only thing that I hate about the West. The thing about the West is, man, I love the West. I love my country. I love America. But the only problem, the reason why I hate the West in terms of what's going on in the social aspect of things, the social political aspect, things have gone so woke. Games have become, entertainment has become so watered down, so censored, to the point is that America or the West is so unrecognizable. It's not the same West that I've grown up in, especially born in the 80s. And growing up throughout the entire 90s, early 2000s, up into now. I'll be 37 on Thursday, and a father and everything. So I'm a grown-ass man. I'm an older man. And I've been through, like, many of you young folks call me an old fossil. But I've been through the many different transformations in the evolution of gaming, man. And I cherish all those moments. And I remember what the West used to represent when it came to video games, man. You don't understand a lot. This generation don't understand why gamers like me are so upset. Is because I remember what gaming used to be and what it was, and I'm looking at it what it is now, and it's hardly recognizable. It totally is, and it became very political. And the people that's in power right now and that's controlling the narrative realize how powerful gaming has become and how much of a bigger industry. Gaming is much more powerful and is much more bigger than Hollywood. And what also points to how big it is for the simple fact is, look at the Super Mario Brothers movie. And Illumination Studios and Nintendo. Nintendo had more of a bargaining chip. It's because a long time ago, game studios had to go to Hollywood. They had to beg Hollywood and knock on Hollywood doors in order for Hollywood to be able to adapt their games to expand their audience. But video games have become so powerful, especially with Super Mario Brothers and Nintendo's IP, that they have become more powerful than Mickey Mouse and Disney and all of Hollywood combined. And now you have Hollywood knocking on the game industry's door in order to get a piece of that gaming market and the gamers, to get them to come and, spend money on, on their products. And even when it comes to the government, these activists, these propagandists, they've noticed that the gaming industry has such a hold on society and culture itself. And what better way to control the masses is if you control gaming itself. And that's what we're seeing here. And the West is a big proponent of that. It's the West that's destroying everything as far as the social political aspect of entertainment and gaming itself. And it's sad that you have some Japanese studios and Japanese developers who are willing to sell their soul or sell out their traditions or sell their Japanese culture for this westernized bastardization. And it's not like they're creating new IP. They're taking our legacy IPs that I've grown up with as a kid, and watch these franchises grow up to be something that's embedded in pop culture, and now being destroyed because they want to cater to that Western audience and get that Western money, So continue. What we originally created came from a very limited worldview, and here we go. Because we were focused more on our Japanese player base and values in terms of what we want to put into it. And that's fine. This is why you're kicking ass right now. This is why the East is kicking ass. Look at the studios. Shift Up, a Korean studio. And it's so sad that Japan used to be that vocal point. Used to be those studios that you looked up to when it came to gaming. And now Japan has fell. It has been dethroned. And now you have Korea stepping in. You have Korea and their studio stepping in and showing you how it's supposed to be done. It's bringing back a lot of that early 90s, early 2000s aesthetics and gameplay and formula to how we like our games as gamers. And they don't give a shit about what the West and these activists and what they have to say. They're going to make the game that they want, and they don't give a fuck. And like I said, the Korean player base, they like what they like. And they don't give a damn what anybody else feel and what they believe in, because this is what they want. And it's a shame now you have Korea coming in, South Korea coming in and taking charge. And when it used to be Japan at some point. And the fact is that Japan, the reason why people love your shit, the reason why people are now, look at manga. Manga is destroying everything right now. Anime is destroying everything that the West has to put out right now. Asian drama, Asian shows is destroying right now. I got Netflix and my daughter, because my daughter loved to watch Netflix, and the only thing she watched on Netflix is Asian shows, Korean dramas, everything that's Asian related, because these shows are just shows. There's no social political things that's etched into it. These are just shows with just characters that you can fall in love with and topics that you can get invested in. And that's what my daughter loved. And now she got me watching a lot of K-dramas and Korean movies, Chinese movies, Taiwanese movies, and everything like that, and even Japanese movies. I'm watching all these type of shows on Netflix and don't even bother any of this Western nonsense. My brothers, they watch stuff on Tubi, they watch stuff on Netflix and Amazon, and the things that they watch are not anything that's current. They're watching stuff back from the 80s. They watching stuff from the 90s, in the early 2000s. My brother Keel said, yo, man, I can't watch none of this stuff today. This stuff is nonsense. They don't watch none of the shows and TV shows and dramas, especially here in the West of today. We watch nothing but old classics here. That's all we watch. We don't watch none of this current bullshit, because this current bullshit is poison and they just fuck up everything. We don't watch none of that bullshit. So let's continue. So this is what they're trying to strive for. So it says, since we decided to put more focus on the global market, we also have to start thinking about how we message to the global players. Producer Ken Moyachi added, We are very used to communicating to Japanese players. Even in the previous Guilty Gear excerpt, we ran a lot of location tests in Japan only, and had the first reveal in Japan. We took a step back from that kind of approach, and we tried to implement a new approach by what messaging to the players around the world. And that's the problem, because you need your Japanese install base, you need your Japanese audience, because you know why? Because when shit hit the fan, because we don't know what's going to happen to the world. We don't know what can happen to the world. The world might shut down one day, or the world might start isolating themselves to reset their country. And if our world and our countries and our nations end up isolating themselves so they can reset themselves, and they close everything out so every nation and every country can focus on their people, they would need their Japanese audience. They would need the Japanese market. And if you give your own people, your own culture, the middle finger to try to cater to the Western bullshit that's going on now, you're going to have a rude awakening when shit hit the fan, when you're going to need your Japanese install base to support you. They ain't going to be nowhere to be found, because their money's going to be spent in other places, to other Japanese companies and studios who didn't abandon their Japanese roots. So Capcom, Square Enix, Arc System Works, Bandai Namco, you guys are going to have a world awakening when the pendulum begins to swing the other way. When the world begins to reset itself, they're going to be the ones that's going to hurt really bad. Because Square Enix and Final Fantasy right now, Final Fantasy is not doing too well, which we'll get into in the stream on Wednesday. It's not doing too well at all. Not doing too well. Not doing too well at all in Japan. And Japan, Final Fantasy used to do numbers. And that's because Square Enix abandoned its roots, it abandoned its culture, the Japanese way of doing things, to cater to the West. And look what it's doing to their company. So it says Arc System is taking on the global market with Guilty Gear Strive. This focus on taking Guilty Gear to a global market was a sentiment echoed by Arc System Works CEO Minoru Kadoka, who told me in another interview that the company strives, no pun intended, to cater to an international fan base. The explosion of the Western popularity for XR games, as well as Dragon Ball FighterZ, inspired them to look outside of Japan when it comes to marketing and the creations of new titles. Well, last year was Guilty Gear's 25th anniversary began. At that time, there were people from all over the United States who were playing the game. We're a small company based in Japan. Previously, all of our development efforts, events, and things like that were really focused on appealing to the Japanese fan base. That was the sort of the focus that we wanted to approach when it came to development and doing events and things like that. We always felt like we needed to broaden our perspective to the global market. In our previous install, Star Wars XR, we switched to 3D graphics, and then we had the opportunity to do Dragon Ball FighterZ. We wanted to make a fighting game with the name Arc System Works, and we started making fighting games little by little in 2013. From there, it put Arc System Works on a global map as far as fighting game development company, and that was probably around 2017. When we started to become more established and more recognized globally, and then Guilty Gear Strive really enabled us to propel and actually branch out into the world. So they pretty much used Dragon Ball FighterZ as that point, as that vocal point or that pillar, because Dragon Ball, man, is synonymous throughout the entire world. Everybody loves Dragon Ball. So they knew to take on a property like that was the only way to help them get Guilty Gear to be more prominent. And then they turned around and now focus on the global market, which is, they got the wrong ideal from this. Dragon Ball is just, people love Dragon Ball because it's Japanese. Dragon Ball is very Japanese. This is why I don't understand how did they get this way of thinking when people love Dragon Ball the way it is, because it's very Japanese. And now when it comes to Guilty Gear Strive and some of the design choices in Guilty Gear Strive, they turned around and figured that, oh, okay, the global market loves Dragon Ball. all right, let's make it more westernized to appeal to the global market when Dragon Ball was very Japanese to begin with and people love it because it's Japanese. I don't know how they come up with these ideas and everything like that. So they took a lot of risk. And yes, Guilty Gear is a big Strive is a big fucking risk in what they're done. And Guilty Gear Strive definitely has a lot of mixed feelings between its player base because you have also a lot of people who just ditched the game altogether. And a lot of people don't like some of the designs of some of the characters and the choices they have done with some of the characters as well. So in the end, will it all pay off in the end for Arc System Works when it comes to this? Because we look at the long goal, the long game. The long game is really important. See, yeah, in the short term, yeah, maybe Guilty Gear Strive is really is striving, no pun intended, above XR. But you gotta understand the timeline of when XR came out. When XR came out, Arc System Works was still a niche, nobody company that most people who aren't familiar with Arc System Works won't know anything about them. So of course they won't know anything about Guilty Gear, and Guilty Gear having that legacy install base and knowledge and stuff like that. But then you look at new Arc System Works, they got popular because of Dragon Ball. Because Dragon Ball, who doesn't know about Dragon Ball? So that's what made them put them on the global map. So instead of them still remaining Japanese, they figured that, okay, we're on the global map, let's abandon our Japanese roots. And to me, I don't think this is going to pay off in the long run, especially if they're going to double down, especially with the whole ESG, Sweet Baby Inc., and all these other things, elements that's involved. I don't think this is going to play out well if they continue to ditch their Japanese roots. But that's essentially it for all the topics for today. Before I close out, if you have some questions, definitely put them in the chat, and I'll talk for a little bit, and then we'll close out for the night. So what we got here? So we have. So I can't wait for Sandland, aka Teriyama. Yeah, Sandland looks interesting. I heard the demo's out. I haven't got around to try the demo. Let's see. It's why Dawn Trail is going to go back to what works because all the flops from their AAA games. Thoughts on Pokemon having position open for DEI? That's a good question. That's going to be a video of its own, Rolling Dodge. People have shared me the article. I haven't read it yet, so that'll be a video of its own, probably next week or something like that. So we'll definitely talk about that. So I really can't give you my opinion yet because I haven't read through it. And I always want to give you my thorough thoughts. I don't want to talk on something I really don't have any knowledge on, But yeah, I got a Discord server. I'll do that. I'll give you guys the Discord as well. Just give me a second, guys. Hook everybody up. Oh. Let me just do it on this screen. Hold up. He said, I forgot which company said this. I think it's Capcom. Get upset that Japanese culture can harm users in the West. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Yo, what's up, Phoenix? Alright, let me get the Discord invite for you guys. In a second. I'm gonna get that for you guys. Also, since I've been doing this stream, now my goal too. I'm doing everything a piece at a time, guys. As I get the stream invite ready, my next goal is to, I'm going to try to be as more active as possible because I've been so busy. I'm gonna try to come up with events. That's why I also need moderators too, man. So I can talk to my moderators, have meetings with my moderators, so we can also plan out stuff. Activities for the Discord, for my Discord community as well, so we can have a good time. You know what I'm saying? I do want to spend more time with you guys, besides doing videos and everything like that. Let's see what we got here. All right, so I'm gonna post the in the chat right now for you guys. Crap. Hold up, guys. I hate when this happens. 1 second. I turn my Elgato on somehow. You're on my hot list. Got saying you enjoyed the Traversy. But yo, we will talk about that, Pollo, on the on the Final Fantasy live stream discussion, spoiler discussion, and everything. We're gonna talk about that on Wednesday. Content and art platforms. Hear about payment processes censoring adult content on art platforms. I heard something about that. Gumroad, I think it's called. Had just did something like that. I'm gonna look into that as well. But yeah, the invite is there, guys. Look in the chat. I post that there. And make sure you go to the welcome. Make sure you introduce yourself so everybody know who everybody is. Yes, I'm definitely going to need active moderators. Like I said, we have almost about 100 people. 100 people on my in my Discord, almost 100. My goal is I do want to have my Discord like really like booming. Like you guys are like, it's just very it is active, but a lot of you guys are from different time zones as well. But I want this thing to be booming. Everybody's is constantly active and stuff, but I also have to make myself present more often as well. It says, let's see, Mugen Lord, as a fan of SNK, I'm worried for City of Wolves. I see warning signs similar to Guilty Gear Strive. Do you mind if I send you a DM discussing this topic and show you my evidence? Yeah, you can send, yeah. If are you on Twitter? You can DM me on Twitter, or you can, if you go on Discord, send me a DM to it. City of Wolves. It doesn't. Yeah, City of Wolves doesn't excite me at all, guys. I won't be truthful with you guys. It looks no different from KOF 15. It looks dated. I'm not saying that the game is gonna be bad. SNK is behind the curve when it comes to modern like look at Tekken 8. Tekken 8 looks good and it plays good. Street Fighter 6. I like Street Fighter 6. I haven't played much of it, but I have it. I like Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising. I like that too. You look at all these modern games and how it looks aesthetically, how it plays. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that King of Fighters or City of Wolves play bad, but I'm saying as far as how it looks, the games look dated. The moment it releases, the game is already dated. You know, so I wish they would step that up, and I wish there was like a difference as far as visuals and art style when you compare City of Wolves with King of Fighters 15. There's no distinction between the two. I wish they would have went more of the Street Fighter 6 approach with City of Wolves. I think that would have been a perfect way to approach that game. But they're really behind the curve as far as that's concerned. But I don't think it's going to be a bad game. This is a person that don't really play SNK games, especially like King of Fighters or Fatal Fury games. So like I really can't speak much on it. My favorite SNK game will always be Samurai Showdown. I did play that a lot growing up compared to King of Fighters or the Fatal Fury games. It was always Samurai Showdown. But yeah. Hey Mugen, did you get a chance to watch the special documentary special on Nickelodeon? No, I didn't watch it. I've seen a lot of people talk about it, but I've been talking about Dan Schneider in the Nickelodeon situation before this documentary was even a thing. I talked about it on streams. I talked about it on Discord and stuff. So none of this stuff, everything that's being revealed is not shocking. Like we talked about this. This stuff was investigated a very long time ago, and they kept it and they hushed it under the rug. And the only reason why it's coming out now is because Dan Schneider's is the fall guy to protect the higher up predators. And the only reason why they're putting it out now is because Dan Schneider is not going to really get in trouble, because and that's the only reason why they're doing this documentary. Because if Dan Schneider was really going to be in trouble, this documentary would never saw the light of day. Because anytime they put a documentary out to expose pedophiles and stuff, it does nothing. It does nothing because this information is still being throttled. It's still being censored, or the narrative is still being controlled. See, the elites, this Nickelodeon documentary, this is being controlled by the elites. This is a narrative that they're controlling, and this is information that they want you to know. That's the only reason why this documentary is out. The bigger predators, they're still being protected. Dan Snyder is just the fall guy, so the bigger people won't get exposed. That's all it is. Dan Snyder's gonna walk away from this. He's gonna get a slap on the wrist. So this documentary really means nothing. This dude was a monster. This dude was a creep. And so was all the other adults who sat by and watched. And I also blame the parents who put these children through all this for the sake of money and status. Because guess what? My whole dream was, like, especially with my daughter, she like, especially when she was younger, my daughters get a lot of, we used to get a lot of mail, like messages, and a lot of letters for my daughter to join, beauty pageants, baby pageants, and stuff like that, because she had this look to her. And my dream was to have a child to be like a Disney child when I was younger. This is when I was younger. To be a Nickelodeon child and stuff like that, and to be my child's manager. Now, the thing is, if I happened to be a parent of a Disney child or Nickelodeon child, my child would never experience none of that. Because first of all, I wouldn't play that shit. No amount of money in the world would make me sell my child out like that. My daughter is surrounded by nothing but masculine men. Her uncles ain't playing that shit. Her grandfather ain't playing that shit. And me as her father ain't playing that shit. My daughter is well isolated, well protected, and we're sharking. We like a hawk. That whole Dan Snyder thing would never have happened with my daughter. Because first of all, I would knock Dan Snyder the fuck out. He would, it wouldn't, they would have to throw me in jail if he tried to do something like that to my child and all those other people within that circle, So I also blame the parents, because the parents knew this stuff was going on too. Instead of pulling their child out, they allowed their child to stay in there because they wanted that success. So I also blame the parents for that. But that's the only reason why this documentary is out, is because the elites are controlling this narrative. That's the only reason why it's getting out. Because even with Epstein, we got a bunch of Epstein documentaries, and it's still a controlled narrative with Epstein. Because if the real truth of Epstein came out and the real players, which we still haven't got the list of those names of those people that went to that fucking island, we still got none of that. Because they're still controlling the narrative. As long as they're still controlling the narrative, we will never get down to the truth. And these criminals, these pedophiles, these groomers, and all these people would never, these people would never get the justice that they deserve. They would never, because these people need to go into the wood chippers. If you, any pedophile, I don't care what you are, if you a pedophile, there's no hope for you. You deserve to be in the wood chipper. Touching a child, touching an innocent life that doesn't know anything. Touching minors, period. That is fucking disgusting. And these people get to walk around free. Walk around free. So until we take back the narrative and actually expose these people, that's why this 2024 election is very, very important. There's a reason why they don't want Trump in office. There's a reason why they don't want a lot of these people who are actually trying to do something about it. Because if you don't know, Trump was going after pedophiles. He had signed bills. That's why he opened Guantanamo Bay. He opened all those things up. And he also has signed a bill that any person that's caught doing pedophile shit is automatic death penalty. That's why he didn't want Trump in office. Because he was coming for pedophiles. He was coming for them. Because a lot of these motherfuckers was doing this shit. And they knew if Trump actually was able to do what he was supposed to do without any attack and smears from the mainstream media or any of that, a lot of these motherfuckers was going to get hung. They were going to get the death penalty. Because child trafficking, human trafficking is a real thing. And it's a lucrative business. A very lucrative business. And they're after our children, people. They're after our children. This, even with the gaming industry, they're using this shit with this LGBTQ, the Sweet Baby Inc. and making women look androgynous because they want to put in their head to our younger generation that there's no difference between a man and a woman. That boys and girls are all the fucking same when they're not. They want young girls to ditch their femininity. And they want to confuse our kids up. To confuse them that they don't know what they are. They're after our fucking children. They want to harvest our children. They want to hoard our children for themselves. They want to abuse our children. They want to sexualize our children. And the best way to do it is through social media and through our video games and throughout culture in general. And that's why it's our duty, especially when it comes to this Gamergate 2.0 and everything, it's our duty to protect our young people, to protect our young generation, because they want to control our young generation. They want to turn our young generation into NPCs. They want to turn them into NPCs that they can control. See, they can't control me. I'm considered an old head. I'm going on 37 on Thursday. They can't control me. They can't control my brothers. They can't control my father. They can't control any of the older generation. They know they can't touch me. But they want to go after children. They want to go after the younger generation. They want to go after kids like my daughter. They want to get into their minds. These people are perverted. These people are demons. These people are demons. And the reason why I call them demons, when it comes to our children are the closest thing to God. When children come out the womb, they don't know anything. They don't know anything about the sins of the world. They are as innocent as they come. This is why these people want our children, because these people are demons. They go attacking our children, touching our children is like disrespecting God, because our children is the closest thing to God. They are the purest thing to God, because they don't know of any evil until you introduce them to evil. This is why these people touch our children and go after our children, because touching them is getting back at God and disrespecting God. And in fact, these people believe that they are above God. This is why you have BlackRock. This is why you have Vanguard, especially with BlackRock. They want to change. They want to force behaviors on us, because these people think that they are God. See, money doesn't mean shit to these people. These people is sitting on trillions and trillions of dollars. So money means nothing. You know what they get a kick out of? They get a kick out of controlling the minds and changing behavior and controlling behavior. That's powerful. It's not money. It's controlling people, controlling the minds. That's the most powerful thing. And that's what these people want. And we can't allow that. That's why we have to take back our culture. We can't allow these stupid people. See, Kotaku, Polygon, and you can't confuse this. See, Polygon, Anita Sarkeesian, and all these journalists, they're not in on the grand scheme of things. Kotaku and Anita Sarkeesian, Sweet Baby Inc., these people is what I call useful idiots. Useful idiots are not part of the overall plan of things. The useful idiots are people who think they are doing right in the world. These people think that they're fighting against fascism and all this other type of stuff. BlackRock and these elites use these idiots to do the dirty work for them without them getting their hands dirty, without them exposing themselves. So they use these people. These people are thinking that they're doing good for humanity. That's what these people really truly believe. These are called useful idiots. Look at Twitter. When Twitter went to trial, when Elon Musk took over Twitter, and we found out that Twitter was working with the FBI, and one of the guys that was part of the board that does the censoring and stuff like that, when the FBI approached him and many other people in his department, they said they felt like they said it felt cool, or it felt they felt like they were doing a service for the world when the FBI approached them. When the FBI was using Facebook to censor conservative voices or anybody who speak against the vaccine or anybody who was speaking against this woke nonsense or speaking against BLM, they was using this to silence people. They was using this. So these people actually thought that thinking that they're actually doing good for the world because they're working with the FBI. These people are useful idiots to the elites. It's the useful idiots that they are using to further enrich their goals and enrich their pockets and to influence the world. Yup. Well said. So yeah, man. That pretty much wraps up the stream, man. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. This is the first episode of this podcast. Episode 2 podcast is going to be a Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy and rebirth. Just spoiler discussion. We're going to talk about everything revolving around Final Fantasy VII in general. So it's not just about the remake and stuff. We're going to talk about Final Fantasy VII in general. So hopefully you guys show up for that. Of course, we're going to have little sidebar conversations within the mix of all this. But it's going to be a very Final Fantasy VII focused stream that we'll talk about. And we're going to talk about everything that's surrounding Final Fantasy VII. And we also want to talk about the sales of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Because those numbers ain't really looking that good. And everything. So we're going to have a discussion with that. And of course, on Friday's stream, I'm going to be doing a tier list video of games that really impacted my life. And games that also disappointed me as well. So we're going to have that. That's going to be like a chill stream. Essentially, it's like a cross between that and a chill stream mixed together. So we'll be doing... It's going to be fun this week. And then over the weekend, I'm going to plan out the next schedule of how we're going to do the future streams as well. So this is a test run. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really appreciate it and everything. And as I said before, you can go to my Discord link, so you can go into the Discord, become a member of the Discord and everything. There's a lot of plans that I have in the fold and in the mix. As I said before, I'm gonna try to build a stream presence, man. Who knows, man? Maybe I could be the next big streamer. I don't know. Let's see where this go. But the stream can only be as successful as you guys make it. I'm gonna try my best to try to be as entertaining and as informative as possible. But this stream can only be as big as you guys make it. Is whatever you guys want this to be. That's how far this stream is going to go. So I hope you guys have a good night. I'm about to have some dinner. I'm fucking hungry. And I'll be seeing you guys on Wednesday with Wednesday streams. So this is Mugen Lord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later.